1, 2, 3, 4.
Hi, I'm Mike, and I am the sports history collector. As we all are, if you collect sports autographs, cards, or memorabilia of any kind, you're a sports historian. The lead-in to this first video were photos, the beginning photos were my trip to Cooperstown in 2008. And all these photos are around autograph collecting. So 2008 Cooperstown, got quite a few autographs. That trip in particular, I have an autograph Hall of Fame book with photos year to year that I like to get signed. And that was the main purpose of that. I had been way behind on collecting those, but I also collect a lot of other things, which I'll get to in a minute. But if you go from the beginning of the video, as we go down, as my clothes change, I get thinner and my hair gets darker. The middle photos were basically of, I think it was the 1991 Anaheim National. Big show, a lot of big crowd. I think one of the biggest crowds in national history, if not the biggest. And then the last photo of myself and Mickey Mantle was taken roughly late 89, early 90, out in California here in Pasadena, California, at wasn't even a big show, but it was at a hotel, like a Holiday Inn or a Ramada Inn. And boy, those shows back in the day, they were so good. Mantle was there, Whitey Ford, Johnny Bench, Monty Irvin. I mean, there was like 4 or 5 other guys, and this was considered a small show. We don't have those kind of shows out here in California anymore, unfortunately. But boy, back in the day, it was just a lot of fun. So anyway, I just wanted to put this out, and as an introduction, I've basically been collecting, whether it be cards or autographs or memorabilia, since 1968, off and on. I do take breaks. As a matter of fact, this last year, I didn't collect anything until September, and then I went gangbusters from September till December. I've taken a couple times where I've taken almost a year off, and then again, like everybody else, late in high school, you kind of, all your money's going towards cars and girls. When you discover girls, or they discover you, you tend to spend money in that area. So from 68 to about 71, I collected a lot of cards. 71 is probably one of my all-time favorite sets. But somewhere in 72, the drawer that I used to keep them in was needed desperately for clothes, apparently, and the cards got thrown away. Thanks, Mom. but now the same mom that threw out my cards in 72 bought me several rack packs in 73 when I was sick for a week. I don't know where the thinking was in there, but anyway, so I collected through 73, 74, 75, started waning off. It wasn't till about 1986 that I started up with cards again. Oh, I'm sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. From like 68 to all through the 70s, I would collect autographs at Dodger Stadium. So that was a lot of fun, and it got me kind of my entrance into collecting autographs. Not necessarily anyone really big, but it was fun. All ball players when you're that age. I mean, they're you've heard of them, so they're great. So fast forward back to the 80s, about 86. I got a gift of a box of cards, unopened packs, and I thought, oh well, that's kind of cool. So I opened those and I kind of got the bug again. So I started collecting 86, 87, 88, junk wax era. And it was July 31st, 1988, that a buddy of mine that I worked with and also played on the company co-ed softball team with told me he was going to the local mall. They were having a card show. And there was some autograph guests. And I thought, well, yeah, what the hell? I don't, it was like right around the corner from me, so it was like a no-brainer. Turns out that Duke Snyder, who really lived just up the road in Fallbrook, California, was there, and he was the nicest guy. He signed, I got a ball signed, and I got a photo. And the photo he dated, which is why I know exactly what date it was. And I was hooked, just hooked, big time. He was so nice. He took off his Hall of Fame ring, I think it was. It wasn't a World Series ring, it was a Hall of Fame ring. And he let people try it on. And it was magical. So at that time, my buddy had a book. It was a Hall of Fame book. It had just come out, and a hardback, and history of the Hall of Fame, pictures all through the years. And that really looked good. And he had a Duke Snyder sign that. So I got to thinking, yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. So I went to the bookstore because we were at the mall, and I found a copy. So I went back and had him sign it, and that was the beginning of a lot of autographs in that book. I got probably, I'd have to guess at this point, I didn't research it before, but I think I got somewhere in the 65 to 75 autographs in there. And I'm going to do a video on the book in the future, so I'll have the exact number by that time. And a lot of those players, most of those players, unfortunately, have passed away. And that trip in 2008 to Cooperstown had caught me up quite a bit because I was way behind. Like I said before, the shows in California had dried up, and so I wasn't getting a lot of signatures in the book, but I got quite a few that day. And I may in the future. We've been talking about going back to Cooperstown here in the next few years, so hopefully I'll get caught up again. Anyway, so that brings me up through the 90s. Um, the path got kind of forked, and I really took the autograph road more than the card road. Although I do still collect cards, and it's mainly for displays. I try to add the cards to an autograph display or a display of a player. So they do come in handy, and I'm also still collecting Hall of Famers from certain years, especially the years I grew up, and also more vintage than that, the 50s, 40s, whatever Hall of Famers. If they're good condition or decent condition and I can afford them, and it fits my budget, then I'll probably pick them up. Let's see, that brings us to current times. When I first got back into the autographs, especially, it was all Hall of Famers, all baseball Hall of Famers. Then somewhere down the line, I kind of got into more of a famous teams, famous events, that kind of thing. Bobby Thompson's home run, for example, would be a famous event. Famous teams: Gas House Gang, 1934 Cardinals, 1960 Pirates, 61 Yankees. Um, those projects are already completed. I've got every autograph of every player that's suited up, and also coaches and managers, and sometimes even the owners. I try to be as complete as possible when possible. Some of the projects I'm currently working on: the 1969 Cubs, which I find more compelling than the 69 Mets, although knowing me, I'll probably end up collecting them as well. But the 69 Cubs were a great example of a team that just collapsed, and the things they went through. And so that's a fun project. I've got about 30 of 50, I think, approximately autographs, and the 20 that are left are pretty easy, which is why I haven't completed it probably. I'm also collecting currently the 55 Dodgers. The same guy that got me to go to the mall to get Snyder's autograph was a huge Brooklyn Dodger fan, and honestly, I never understood it because I was a LA Dodger fan, so I thought, well, what's the big deal? Well, after that day, I started researching the Brooklyn Dodgers, and over the years, I have fell in love with the 55 Dodgers, especially. The romance of that era, the small ballpark, the family, just the things that were going on. Players living within the community, walking to the park, riding the subway with fans. It just was magical, and so I collect the 55 Dodgers as well. I am 5 autographs short of the completion, and those 5 are actually fairly easy as well. But on those I collect signed. I have a lot of signed cards from 55. Also signed 3x5 cards, cachet envelopes, magazines. I'll collect the magazines. They don't have to be from 55, but they have to have the player on the cover that played on the 55 team. I also I collect signed Hall of Fame baseballs, single signed Hall of Fame baseballs. That's another big part of my collection. But I also collect the single signed 55 Dodger single signed baseballs. Currently at, I'm looking right at them right now: 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 17. I've got about 7 more spots in the case, or 2. I have 2 smaller cases on the wall, so about 7 more. Some of those are going to be a little tough, but I should be able to fill it up, I think. So anyway, that's where we are now. I've been watching YouTube videos from the community for now a couple of years, especially during the pandemic, and I've subscribed to about 100 different channels. think I got a little hooked because I watch them every day. And here we are. So I hope you enjoy my videos going forward, and please let me know, if you think I can improve on anything, or if you have any questions or what have you. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.